Hi, this is Anita Cheng, your super host for the She Connects project, and we have a special guest here today.
Hi everyone, my name is Hen, aka MC Hennessy. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming on our program, which is all about trust, empowerment, and collaboration.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Hen,
Yes.
you're from Western Sydney.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in Candid Heights, which is around the Cabramatta, Liverpool, Fairfield area.
Yep.
And
You're a local boy.
definitely local, but I've moved to Burwood, so
Whoa.
yeah.
Well, still local, still west.
Still.
Western Sydney.
Yeah.
And what do you actually do for work? Because I met you maybe about 3 years ago,
Yes.
and I've had so much fun attending all your weddings that I've had to have you at my own.
Oh, thank you.
For the viewers who don't know, can
Yeah.
you share a bit of what you like to do and your passion?
Well, I started emceeing for weddings just before COVID.
Just before.
Right.
COVID,
I did it for charity.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was with Helping Hands, Healing Hands,
Yeah.
for charity to raise some money for charity.
Oh,
and then it just started from there, and I had no experience whatsoever.
yeah.
I just hosted the event.
Yeah.
You know, we had auction for prizes, and that went to helping out the charity.
Yeah.
And then the guests there thought I did it professionally. And then they reached out, they said, "Oh, do you have a business card?" I said, "Oh, no, I did this for charity." And then my friends were like, "Oh, maybe you should pursue this professionally."
You should think about it.
Yeah. Well, and then after that, I got hit up. My friend hit me up to host his wedding.
Right.
And that was my very first wedding I've done. And then since then, it sort of kicked on from there. People at the wedding enjoyed the vibes that I was bringing, and because I speak 3 other languages as well. So, and being in Western Sydney, that is very important because we live in a multicultural, environment area.
Yeah.
And especially where I live, Candid Heights, we've got Viet, Cambodian, Thais, Chinese, all the Asian people that we love here. And, after hosting your wedding, your partner was Cambodian, right?
Cambodian, Tijao, Chinese.
Tijao, yes, Tijao.
Yeah.
I don't speak Chinese, but I am part Chinese. Mum never taught me, but I grew up speaking mostly Vietnamese and Khmer.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned the languages.
That's how it all started.
That's how it all started.
Right, and it's crucial to have 3 different languages around Western Sydney, if
Yeah.
not even 4, right?
Exactly. And I did work in retail, the customers that you get are obviously different from different backgrounds,
Yeah.
and being able to speak those 3 languages, you do hear a lot of like negative comments about your service for them, but without realizing it, I get people think I'm Filipino all the time, but that's not the case because of my dark skin.
Oh,
But
a
yeah.
nicely tanned roasted skin.
Yes. Yeah, and because my name's Hen,
Yeah.
people tend to tease me calling me roast chicken and stuff.
Oh, no way.
So that's a little racist, but it's alright.
I'll take it. I'm still a good chick.
But yeah, after that wedding, the very first wedding I hosted, it just became a passion.
It sparked you up, right?
Definitely, it was my calling.
Yeah.
I did it.
It was your calling.
It was my calling.
Oh my God.
I just did it, for my friend because
Because they needed someone.
They needed someone,
Do you
and
know anyone in the MC
especially
industry?
that speaks
Can't
Khmer.
really even trust many people because this is your big day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And there was a lot of things that went wrong, but from experience,
Yeah.
everything that's gone wrong at a wedding, I try to implement that with the next
Yeah.
and fix it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I've had, not setting up smoke machines, sparks machine before the first dance.
Yeah.
That was my very first mistake because that was my first time.
Right.
But then since that very first wedding I hosted, I've always made sure
Yeah.
to organize that and make sure it's ready. Machines are good.
Yeah.
The smoke machine, the fireworks, all good to go before we do the first dance, which is very, very important.
Oh my God.
Very crucial for the bride and groom. But seeing the outcome that for your wedding, your
Yeah.
first dance,
Yeah.
seeing how happy you were, it really made me as an MC,
Happy.
so proud, right?
So proud.
So proud.
That's my girl.
Yeah. You know, and I like to make sure the bride and groom isn't too wasted before the first dance as well.
Wow,
You know?
that's something mum and dad usually do. But your MC's got your back.
Yeah, that's right. And believe it or not,
Yeah.
it's been a few weddings that I've hosted where the groom, mainly the groom,
Yeah.
gets a little too wasted, and we have to cancel the first dance.
You had to
Yes,
cancel
the first dance because he was either too wasted or he was thrown up in the bathroom.
Bro, I would not be happy.
Yeah, it's not cheap to honestly, guys. It's not cheap to, to have a wedding. You know what the costs are.
Yeah, absolutely.
The cost for a wedding in Sydney is not a joke.
When the word wedding comes to play, I guess. Yeah, thank you for that insight.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And one of the reasons why I went to you for my MC is just the vibe and energy that you bring. And what shocked me the most was how organized you were. Like, I am OCD in terms of organization.
Yeah.
You, my friend, took it to the next level, making sure all the stakeholders at the wedding knew who you were, knew who the bride and groom were, knew who the VIP speakers were, and tested everything before the wedding, which made my life a lot easier on the day as a bride. Not that it's even possible, but it did. It alleviated me from one stress head to another stress head, and he's got it under control.
Right. Thank you. But then again, like at our brunching meeting for your wedding, you were actually one of the very organized bride I've worked with. You know, from the slideshow, from the run sheet, the editing, and everything that you came up with to the meeting, it made my life a lot easier. Because I feel like you know what you're doing because you've been a bridesmaid before. Maid of honor, was it, or bridesmaid?
Oh, I've been. No, actually, that's wrong. I actually haven't been in a bridal party.
Oh, really?
But I've imagined myself in the bridal party for all the good reasons of planning, organizing. Me as an individual, I love planning birthdays, I love planning corporate events, and I love just celebrating in general. So having those skills behind me made my wedding day like so much easier and communicated more clearly to what I wanted.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wish I was part of people's bridal party, but unfortunately my life is way too busy sometimes, and I just have to decline. And these are wonderful sort of personal stories that I like to share and share with people in the industry as well, that you may not have time for other people, and it's okay to say no as well, because you don't want to take on a responsibility and 10 days before your wedding you drop out or something major changes and all the duties or the roles or all that headspace you've invested into trusting that someone runs away or goes away or never be able to talk to that person again. You've heard of Bridezilla, you've heard of people taking over your own wedding, and you've actually heard of like things going wrong. And I think this is where your life comes to play as well. You hear these stories, you cry with the bride.
After hosting over 100 weddings now, I could say I've only come across maybe 2-3 Bridezillas, but you do what you can for them because sometimes it's the nerve that kicks in. Sometimes they've got other issues within the bridal party itself, or the family. Yes, politics
in the family, friends, or even colleagues. Right, like weddings are a huge thing, but it's also a lot of pressure.
Yes.
And you see it all.
Yes,
right?
I see everything.
The pink, the purple, the grey, the black, and the white. Oh,
But after meeting you when we had our run sheet meeting, after seeing your draft run sheet, I could tell you're very OCD. You're very I need it this way, but then you also go with the flow on the night, which made everything a lot easier. Because as a professional MC, I give you the advice that I think would work best. But at the end of the day, it's the bride and groom that decides what they want to do, right? And then I've had times where I'll advise something, but they don't want to go ahead with that, and
that's cool too.
That's cool. They do what they want, and then the outcome is what the outcome is.
Correct.
I can't control that, but it is their wedding, and I always try to make it run a little smoother. But having the cooperation between the bride and groom and myself, you know, and all the vendors.
Yeah.
Vendors on the night of the wedding is very important as well.
It's super important.
Yes, we all need to work
Yeah.
well together because if one is being difficult, it makes
The rest.
it's
It's hard to deal.
Yes.
It's literally hard to deal.
Yes.
And I think coming from a bride that just happened in 2024, a 3-month plan, I could only prepare in that 3 months' time all I could, and whatever happened on the day happens,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, that's
You don't have time to stress.
Yeah.
And having a team behind you that you trust, you've seen, you've heard, you've communicated with, it alleviates that stress.
That's right.
100%. And I couldn't have thanked you more or less on the day,
Thank you.
definitely you brought the energy, you brought the vibe, and you looked after everyone as well as yourself, which is great. Thank you.
Awesome, and thank you so much also for having my bubble tea cart there as well.
Did you know that was the highlight of everyone's night?
Oh really?
I've had guests that came from Melbourne
Right.
and some guests that are actually inside the bank that flew all the way over.
Yes.
And these guests were like VIPs for me, and they're like, "Whoa, dude! I've never seen a bubble tea cart at a wedding." And I was like, "It was only King Tea." They're like, "King Tea's great. I love it."
And seeing the feedback, people saying how great our drink was, it really made me happy because not only was I hosting the wedding, but I was also watching out for the bubble tea cup because I don't want any problems,
That's
because
right.
the
That's
guests
right.
are very important to the bride and groom,
That's right.
and we can't be serving bad quality
Bad tea.
bubble tea.
Bad boba, bad tea.
And Asians love their bubble tea.
They
You don't want to
do.
be playing with that.
They do. And
Yeah.
we didn't actually lock you guys in until a week before our
Yes,
wedding.
yes.
Which is our bad, but you never know where the budget goes from a bride and groom
Exactly.
perspective, right?
Yeah.
I think my wedding landed at about $130,000.
Wow.
Which included everything, right? But of course, you make a little bit back in the reception,
Yeah.
which alleviates the pain. But you don't know whether to go ice cream for dessert or bubble tea for dessert, or would anyone even want it, right?
Right. We sold out.
You sold out.
We sold
I
out
didn't-
300 cups.
I was so glad at the beginning you handed me
Right,
the two.
yeah.
That lasted me pretty much the whole night, and then
Yeah.
I didn't even have time to get a second one. And that was my own
Yeah.
perspective, right? It was
Yeah.
so busy. It was such a hit. And for anyone who's thinking about a bubble tea cart for their wedding,
Hit up King Tea Cabramatta.
hit up King Tea Cabramatta.
Also, we
they
have a
make
collaboration.
Yeah, they have a collaboration right now,
Yeah.
which actually is amazing because I couldn't think of, should I go with an ice cream cart or should I go with a bubble tea cart? And the collaboration with
Aluva and Co.
Alaluva and Co.
Yes.
That's right, that's how we say it.
Aluva and Co. I think.
Look, what is this?
Aluva and Co.
Aluva and Co, which is a highly regarded ice cream vendor,
Yeah.
a Photoshop machine company,
Yep.
all through the wedding venue industry.
That's right.
They're well known. You now collaborate with them, and you're doing bubble tea
And ice cream. Yeah, we have a
Yeah.
mini package, bronze, silver, and gold.
Right.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm very Asian and very money oriented.
Yeah.
Right. What are we looking at for a mini package, and what does that involve?
Okay, so with the mini, you get 100 cups of milk tea
Oh yeah.
and 100 scoop of ice cream. It's good to have two options because everyone loves,
Everyone.
bubble tea and ice cream.
I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah.
I'll be there if that person invites me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually very affordable because we have the two vendors that
Yeah.
will set up there
Yeah.
at a very
Yeah.
beautiful venue like Highline for instance mainly.
Mhm.
We're charging about 1,700
That's not too bad.
for two options.
For two options,
Yeah.
right? I think when I was doing my market research, looking at for example, ice cream carts from renowned local businesses, they were asking for over $2,000.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right. That's just for ice cream.
Yeah, so considering if I could go back in time, that package would, benefit me in a way where I had both. It's like the hard or soft taco sort of situation.
That's right. That's right.
Why not both?
And the owner of Aluva and Co. Believe it or not, I've hosted her wedding.
Oh my God, yes.
I've hosted Jeanette's. Shout out to Jeanette.
Yeah.
I've hosted her wedding, and
Yeah.
then she hit me up for this collaboration when she saw that I started the business,
Yeah.
King Tea in Cabramatta. We work very well together,
Yeah.
and we want the best
Outcome.
the best outcome and the best package for the bride and groom.
That's right. And I guess
And affordable.
Everything's bloody expensive when
Yes,
you're back to
that's
work,
right.
waiting next to it.
Exactly.
And I didn't believe it until it happened to me.
Oh, don't even. Do you remember? I don't want to mention it. I don't know if I should mention it.
Please, please.
Okay.
You can expose me.
Okay, I remember.
Yeah.
Specifically on your wedding night.
Yeah.
When I'm not going to mention the vendor. When you had the backdrop outside for your silver ceremony.
Yes.
Yes, and then to bring that in would have been an extra charge for the bride and groom.
Yeah, it was very costly just to move a backdrop.
Yes, I think it was about
move something from inside to outside.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, that's correct.
From memory, God answered your prayer, and it was a very windy night. And they were forced. They were forced to bring it in.
That's true. That actually happened, man.
That happened.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I walked in and I was so shocked because we went out from the civil ceremony, and then we didn't get back to the actual venue until like 5 o'clock, like an hour before.
That's right.
Pretty much the reception kicked off.
Yes.
And I walked in just what do you call that? The first walk in.
The first look.
The first look
of the venue.
The first glance of the venue. Yep. I was like, God damn, who moved this in here?
Yeah,
who's paying for this?
Who's paying for this? Who's gonna pay for this $800 moving in from the balcony inside?
Look, that was my Japan.
Yeah.
My Japan ticket on Jetstar.
Yeah, and then I was shocked too, and I said, I asked you, did you pay for that?
Yeah.
And then it turned out that the vendor brought it in because it was windy, and they didn't want
an OHS issue.
Yes, and they didn't want to destroy the backdrop.
That's true. And like the vendor's amazing.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely. Shout out to them.
Shout out to them, James. And his memorable events.
Yes.
Like, of course, there's talks and negotiations before, but when things happen, this is where you need your trusted vendors on the day to pull up for you.
That's right.
I reckon I would have cried
Yeah.
if I had to pay for it. But you know, thankfully enough, he was a nice guy, nice family, small business, and it made the night more spectacular than what it was. Like,
it looks really good.
The venue was amazing,
Yeah.
but I couldn't thank him enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually your wedding was a lot going on. You booked everything and everyone, you know, but it was a dream wedding for you and your partner.
Yeah.
Seeing how happy you were really made, you know, my passion as an MC grow even more.
Oh, thank
you. You know, and you know, and then you invited me on your podcast, you know, making it a little more special.
Yeah.
You know, and like even with Aluva and Co.
Yeah.
After hosting her wedding,
yeah.
You know, she hit me up because she trusts me, and you know, to do this collaboration with her.
That's right.
And I'm so grateful for that, you know. And being in this wedding industry, I've met a lot of amazing people, you know, and you know, shout out to Fave Events.
Oh my God.
Fave Events.
Let's talk about Fave Events.
They're getting so popular, you know.
And they deserve it, right? They definitely deserve it.
Yeah, they do. And I've always recommended them to the bride and groups that I work with.
And I remember I didn't have a DJ at the time that I liked, because I did have a look around at some wedding vendors that did do entertainment, right?
Yes.
The packages were quite expensive.
Yep.
And for what I got and the vibe I got from the DJ didn't align or didn't connect from the style that I like.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, I would still call myself a Western Sydney girl, but I do live in the Shire.
Yeah.
So it makes everyone confused exactly what I want. But, you know, now moving over to the Western Sydney, it now makes more sense to me and my identity as well. That, you know, DJ Sticky knows what the crowd wants.
Yes.
And if you're from Western Sydney, like, again, shout out to
Fave
Fave
Events,
right?
Jesse and
Jesse was my DJ.
DJ Sticky Icky. Yeah, Jesse was your...
Jesse was mine, and definitely, like, he knew how to, he knew his beats.
Yes.
He knew what he was doing.
He's actually in Vietnam right now, partying it up.
I saw. I saw.
You know, shout out to Jesse, having fun over there.
That's
without us.
Without us.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely, like, he has an amazing package himself. Reasonably priced, very good market price, that's for sure, for a DJ. And the way he communicated with me was amazing because it's just a simple call.
Yep.
No Zoom meeting, nothing over the top, nothing too professional. Because at the end of the day, you're in the entertainment industry.
Yep.
You want to be humble and down to earth and be able to express what needs to be done.
That's right. And they've done this so many times, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like autopilot to them.
Autopilot.
It's pretty much like, oh, don't worry, we got this.
Yeah.
We got this. You just enjoy yourself, and
Yeah.
you know, and the guests, of course. The guests, oh, that's okay. Every wedding I've noticed,
Yeah.
the guests are all different.
Yeah.
You have to know your guests as bride and groom
Yeah.
to cater correctly.
To the.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can't have like a room full of 60 to 70-year-olds. And then you'll be playing like Megan Thee Stallion, you know, a bit of Cardi B. You can't be doing that, you know. They can't you can't expect old people to be twerking on the dance floor. Do you know what I mean?
What's
You
that
gotta
song?
know.
Wet ass.
Yeah, wet ass, wet ass meal.
That it,
You know, and I do like working with Favour Fans. You know, we enjoy working together. We know what we bring to the table for the bride and groom, which is
and it's a dual dynamic, right?
Yeah, that's
like
right.
you can't have a good MC and a bad DJ. It just doesn't work like that.
That's
or
right.
a bad MC and a good DJ.
Yeah.
It really changes the whole vibe.
Exactly.
For what it is. But question.
Yes.
You know, wedding talk is great.
Yeah.
But like, you know, you've been around the industry, you've seen a lot of people, you've heard a lot of stories. What?
Oh, a lot. Yes, a lot. Now that I've hosted over 100 weddings,
Yeah.
I deal with a lot of vendors and you know, brides and grooms and some wedding planners as well.
Yes.
You know, like right now, because how do I say it? People will go out of their way to undercut each other, stuff like that. You know, like I've heard stories.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like that's so wrong in many ways. You know, we're all in the business to do our part to make it memorable for the bride and groom.
Yeah.
Okay, but you know, the undercutting and
Yeah.
this and that, like for me, it has to be fair.
Yeah.
Okay, fair price, reasonable price. You know, even with bookings and stuff, collaborations. You know. Yeah, I've just heard stories. I don't want to mention anything, but you know, vendors do undercut.
And you know, hearing this, like my industry is very different to yours, right?
Yeah.
And like wedding industry, it's small industry, right? And to the extent that you know you guys are going above and beyond to get business, kudos to you for the hustle. But it's really scary that people actually undercut each other in terms of pricing, in terms of booking, in terms of, let's say, for example, what I can do for you under the table.
Yes.
Like, these are the unknown stories that are unheard of that, you know, you would see that I wouldn't see as hopefully a first time wedding person, hosting a wedding or collaborating or even asking for advice.
Yes.
Can you give me an example of what could happen?
What I've heard is, you know, under the table, the specific vendor would pay at the deposit that the bride and groom has booked with a different vendor.
So for example,
and offering a lower price.
So for example, flowers, for instance, right? I'll pay $2,000 as a deposit, something like that.
And then another company would come by and be like, we'll pay that $2,000.
Another flower vendor will come over and reimburse you $2,000 for the deposit.
Yeah, just to get that job.
Just to get the job.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Stuff like that, I don't think that's the right thing to do. You know, everyone's in the business for a good reason. Yeah. You know, for me, like mainly passion.
Yeah.
And of course the money comes after. But
that is true.
Yeah,
that is true. Like,
you know,
you wouldn't do something you didn't love.
Exactly.
Right? And then business is just the bonus that you have on. Yep. That's
right. And you know, being on stage is.
It's a dream.
It's just like I've studied acting.
No way.
I did acting for 2 years. I'm not the best actor, but I did study acting for 2 years, and being on stage and you know putting myself out there.
Comes natural.
Sort of, you know, sometimes being born with the microphone is a blessing.
No,
I'm joking. You know,
it's just me on my camera and my but you know, I get it.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes you want to be out in the spotlight, but then you end up in it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I never thought, you know, being an MC was a thing.
Yeah.
And then
it wouldn't be at the top of my parental aspirations for my son.
That's right.
Yeah.
When I told my parents I wanted to be an actor, they were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you know, that's gonna get you nowhere." Because mind you, I had to audition for this to get into the college,
Right.
and I remember that day clearly. There was like 80 students. The intake for that semester was only 26. So I was the only Asian. I was the only Asian in my year. Yeah.
In that year that tried.
The only Asian, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good for trying.
You have to try.
That's right.
Because you don't know what
you don't know what you land.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know where you land,
Yeah.
and it's very important for young people listening, right? Where you can be studying, you can be listening to mum and dad, but where does your heart lie?
Exactly.
Is where I guess your life story starts.
That's right.
If that's the case, yeah.
But to my parents, where it lies is not important because that paying the bills to them is you gotta be able to support yourself, make a living. Yeah.
And do the normal course of finding a lover, get married, start your own
doctor,
family,
lawyer,
buying a house, and the list
all
goes
that.
on, right?
Yeah.
The norm, but
the typical Asian,
if you're gonna go bet on yourself, do it before you're all committed.
That's right. Test the waters.
Yeah.
See what temperature suits you, and you pretty much go for it.
Right.
And this MCing thing that popped up for me, my friends call it my calling.
Yeah. I would say it's your calling.
I actually really enjoy it. And then the bubble tea sort of just complemented
it just grew with it,
and I'm happy with everything that's going through. Having an amazing bride like yourself, making life a little easier for us, and through the chaos at a wedding, we know what it's like at a wedding.
Yeah.
Like the most I've hosted for a wedding was about 550 people.
Wow.
And let me tell you, I did not even get to sit down.
You yourself didn't.
I didn't even get to sit down. I was running around sorting out, everything that was going on the night.
Yeah.
And on top of that, having, the guests that love to party.
Mm-mm-mm.
And I remember that wedding clearly, 55 tables. There was, I think, 60 or 70 bottles of Martell or Hennessy.
Wow.
And like if you've been to an Asian wedding, especially with the Khmers and your honest Cambodian and
the Chinese.
Yes, the Chinese. Alcohol is like
it's key.
It's H2O to them.
Yeah, it is.
It's like water to them, and
I've seen aunties look at other people's tables and take a bottle for takeaway.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
And I'm just like, why not?
Because at the end of the night, the extra bottles could be sold back to the bottle shop.
That's right.
The liquor shop.
That's true.
To get their money back.
Yeah.
And guests
guests
put that in their purse and take it home. And
that's true. Well,
kudos
to you.
Yeah.
My pocket was only half.
Yeah.
Oh.
And a lot of things happen at weddings. I don't want to ruin the mood, but I've seen people throwing up on the dance floor.
That's true.
And people not knowing the limits when they drink. That's why I always during the housekeeping I always say to be responsible with the liquor, because we don't want to see what the course menu is.
That's true.
That's true. On the dance floor, do you know what I mean?
I didn't even think about it like that, but now that you've mentioned it, that is true. We do not want to see what was the banquet that happened after.
Yeah.
It comes out nice and it ends up dirty.
Exactly.
Oh, too funny.
But and it's good seeing, a lot of the weddings I go to now that I host, I love seeing brides and grooms that I've hosted their weddings in the past.
That's right.
And seeing them with the little one, the baby.
Oh my God.
It makes my job like, damn, oh my God, the son of family, and it's just really nice to see that. A lot of the times. Shout out to all the couples that booked me.
So we covered a lot just then in terms of the wedding industry, how tough it can be.
Yeah.
Are there seasonal troughs or seasonal booms that you can tell me about? What are the months that are your busy periods?
Okay, I feel for that question is during October.
It starts
towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
It picks up and we're very busy.
October to
September, October. Yeah.
Yeah, so October
to let's say
March.
March, April.
Yeah.
June, July, very, very quiet. So that's why DJ Deceive is in Vietnam right now partying it
Makes
up.
perfect sense.
That's right.
He's still partying.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Like for this month, I've only got one wedding.
Okay.
Mainly, during September, October, I'll have like maybe 5-6 weddings, up to 8 in a month. So due to the fact that I feel like towards the warmer months, because the bride will be in her dress.
That's true.
You
don't want to
freezing. Yeah.
You don't want to have a fur coat on your wedding night and be all covered up and not beautiful.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's the only reason I could think why towards the end of the year we're busier.
Yeah.
But during the winter months, not so busy.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's okay. You can do other events in between as well. You probably get hosted doing another council event, or for example, someone's birthday party. Like Asians love the grand 41s, 31s, 51s.
That's right.
It's these events that you can have MC Hennessy at as well. That brings a vibe. Pretty much, or even at your housewarming, you want to buzz it up, get a DJ in, get an MC in. Get the stress off your shoulder.
That's why, especially if you're doing your event at a venue that caters to like 200 to 500 people.
Yeah.
It's good to have an MC to line things up.
Yeah.
And keep things in check.
That's
true.
You know what I mean?
True.
And from memory, your consultation period. How long in advance should a bride and groom contact you?
For me, I'm happy.
Once they've locked in the venue.
Yeah. And
then they'll speak to you, or
normally
what's the go?
Normally the process is they'll lock in the venue, and then they'll find the vendors. So bubble tea, ice cream, DJs, photo booths, all that.
Yeah.
But mainly after locking the venue, it's good to figure out who you want as an MC. If you're up for the hype. The hype man, the party man. Also, if you don't know, I get into costumes.
He does.
And
he does.
I'm known for the DJ, the MC with the laser performance.
That's right.
So I like to change it up a bit.
Yeah.
A lot of because I'm only in my 30s.
Yeah.
A lot of the weddings that I've gone to, I've been to, the MC are a lot older and very formal and not very.
And that was a core reason why I didn't choose another MC, is because I liked your vibe that you brought, and you understood the Asian Aussie.
Yes, that's right.
The Asian Aussie.
That's right. I'm one myself.
That's right. And it's not a lot, because I had a complication of 2 choices to make. Either go with the Chinese, Cantonese speaking lady who was very professional, very formal, very classy, but that wasn't me.
Yeah, that's right.
As in, I had a wild side, but I also like to be formal, but also have a combination of, hey, I do like my rave music or my trance and stuff, my hardcore music, but also there's an R&B side, which you like an MC who's up to trend.
Yeah.
Or knows what's popular, what's trending, to be able to relate to the crowd that you're bringing in.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why I bring in the TikTok dances and stuff.
It makes sense now. You're not just a cow, but
you have to go with the flow.
Go with the flow.
You gotta know what's popular right now, and TikTok is everything.
That's right.
And even with businesses, everyone's marketing through TikTok now.
That's right.
A lot of restaurants hit up influencers for a free feed just to be posted on their page.
That's
TikTok.
right, and it's all about connection.
That's right.
Referrals, or even like those codes. Use my special promo code.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's always
promo codes and
that's right. And
TikTok slangs.
Yeah, TikTok slangs as well. Like there's
Yeah.
so much things we've learned off the digital marketing platforms
Yeah.
that now we're embracing in our own services. So for example, me, right, I'm doing a She Connects project, and the passion behind that is pretty much connecting good people with the good clients, right? You are what you attract at the end of the day.
That's
and
right.
it's working. I'm an Aussie Asian looking for an Aussie Asian MC.
That's
There's
right.
not many of those around.
Not many.
No? Is there, how in Sydney, how many MCs would you say there would be?
Well, okay, I've met a handful, and I've met Chinese MCs, I've met Viet MCs, younger and older, and I've actually have an MC friend that's been on Married at First Sight.
I think I know which one.
TMT Trung. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. You know, I've never, you know, and hearing him tell me about the process of filming that, it's very interesting because he's also a celebrant.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm not a celebrant myself because I don't think I could do that job. You know,
Look, we'll just leave the fun side to you and the civil stuff.
Yeah.
To a more civil person.
That's right. I can't be doing shots, you know, at the civil ceremony. You know.
That's true.
You know, that's just not my vibe. I enjoy doing hosting the reception side.
And you do a damn hell good job of it, that's for sure.
And a lot of bride and groom, they encourage me to become a celebrant.
I know, right?
But and then I'm
like, nah, not for me.
I gotta leave some jobs around. No, I'm kidding. I can't take all the jobs. I can't take all the jobs, but
hey, that's very honest, right? Like, and we're all about that because you want to trust, you know, what you say, what you do, and what you bring to the party at the end of the day, right?
Correct.
It's one day. Not everyone's gonna have 2 weddings, and you want everything to be almost perfect.
Yes.
And the reason why I say that is not everything's gonna be 100% on the day. I think from all the planning and all the work I've done, I think I only got 80% of what I wanted to achieve, and then there's always going to be a 20% buffer where things gonna not go right.
Yes.
It's not what you planned, or even timeline. Like a huge factor in your big day would be sticking to a schedule.
Yes.
I know my schedule for the night was planned out really well, but it just didn't happen.
Even to the timing of everything. I remember your wedding specifically.
Yeah.
I tried to stick to the time.
Thanks.
But then we have to cater to guests arriving.
That's right.
That was the main issue at weddings, is when we get a full house or not.
Right.
Right. Mainly I like to start about 80%. Of all the guests being there, because sometimes pushing back can cause a lot of issues.
From the catering to the wait staff to
performances,
the amount of photos you want to take on the day.
Because
I think my disappointment from my own wedding was I didn't get enough photos with the guests. And again, I had a tight schedule, so there was only one person to blame, but you know, but myself. But you know, you try to have the most of you want, but it's just never going to go 100%.
That's right.
And that's where, I guess, where I stressed less, because I knew someone who knew what I wanted on the day and delivered even if the timing was a little bit off. I think at my whole wedding, I probably didn't get to sit down for 10 minutes. I think I had the first and a bite of the second course, and then I never returned to my seat.
That's right. The bride and groom is always on the feet.
Yeah.
You know, like, even though I try to, you know, on the run sheet, I try to give them at least 10-20 minutes just to chill,
breathe, to
eat and drink a bit. But in that case, you know, if you push back, that timing is gone.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
true.
And when things go wrong, it's good to have an MC, because I sort of reschedule things.
You re-allot things automatically, and you know, things happen. Whether if it comes back down to your bride and groom or your maid of honor or your best man, they may be busy doing other duties.
That's right.
Yeah, I would say you're probably my right-hand man on the night. That's for sure. I know my husband was off his face.
Talking about the bridal party, it is very important to choose wisely. I've had bridesmaids that were always drunk, maid of honors that knew nothing that was going on and was there just to party. And you know, for the bride, the bridesmaids and the maid of honor is there to also assist on the day.
That's true.
A lot of the times.
Yeah.
You know?
And I guess that comes back down to, you know, from what I've learned from my first wedding, and hopefully the only wedding that I ever have.
Hopefully.
just saying. But like, who you select on your bridal party is crucial.
Very
because, you know, you're asking them, you're also making them aware, these are my expectations. You don't want to have, and I've heard, you know, different ladies or different girlfriends come up to me going, hey, I've also had this particular problem. And it's always someone on the bridal party not delivering. And of course, you know, it's your big day where everyone's giving up their time to help you but let's not forget it's one day, and you're only giving way for that one person on that day. And if you're not comfortable with it, and a lot of times I would say, yes, I can take on the challenge and being your maid of honor, or for example, your being in the bridal party, right? If I'm not feeling that energy within myself that I can't give that, I would step down. And that's from the very beginning, as in, please don't be offended. I don't think I can deliver 100% to you, and it would be painful for me to watch your day fail because of my wrongdoings.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if you're not up for the part, it's okay to say no.
It's okay to say no, and a lot of people may or may not even thought about it. There's always going to be, I've always had a best friend and she's going to be it. But you also analyse what her and her life is all about.
Yeah.
Or, for example, the best man. Like, if they're overcrowded with family duties or personal duties, do not allot that person to that position where
you have to know you're
relying on them. Yeah, because that's when a lot of connections break.
Yes, that's
or
right.
feud starts.
Yeah. If you've had a wedding and these issues do come.
And it's very common.
It's very common. It's very common. I've seen arguments within the bridal party.
Crazy.
And I've seen a maid of honor slur her speech because she was very drunk.
Oh no.
Right.
But hey, you've chosen this girl to be a maid of honor and do a speech, then this is the delivery you get.
I had to sort of read her speech for her.
Aww.
But at least, can I just say, even though she was like that, like, hands down to her for trying.
Yeah.
Even though she was swaying.
Aww.
But it was a nice, it was, okay, it wasn't very professional, but at the same time, it was nice to see her try.
Yes.
Because they were best friends. And even though the bride knew what the maid of honor was like, she still chose her because of that relationship that they have.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
and then she tried her best to do what she can, but at the end of the day, they were happy.
That's true.
Right? The bride was happy.
As the outcome is happiness and there's nothing in between that, that's already a perfect day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing for, tips for a wedding. What would you say is the most important thing for you?
Organising.
Being organised?
Being organised. Like, I like to bump in an hour or an hour and a half to the venue to double check with the DJ, the managers, make sure the cake is there.
Oh yeah.
There's been an instance where
the cake never arrived.
The cake arrived after the entrances, which is not good because we want to get that cake in the video.
That's right.
Getting the perfect shot.
Yeah.
After hosting all these weddings.
Yeah.
Get the lighting.
Yeah.
The lighting for the first dance, cake cutting. I always double check with the photographers. I run through that and I double check with the managers. Right. So that's my job, is to make sure that the atmosphere is correct.
Yeah.
Right, and is what the bride and groom wants. And I run through like with your wedding. I'm like, are you happy with this? Are you okay with this? You want it to be brighter? You want it to be darker?
Yeah. Because you yourself control. You are the ringmaster on the wedding day on behalf of the bride and groom, and that's crazy. As in, like, you take that control and accountability upon yourself, and you have, we fully trust you, of course, but we also, you have that initiative.
Yeah.
And I can't see that with every vendor that I've had, that I've signed up or seen or even talked to, that has that approach.
That's right. Because you put your trust in us to run the show and help you make sure everything runs smoothly.
That's right.
And for me, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not a very organised person, but when it comes to wedding, it's a different story.
Yeah, you can't. It can't go wrong.
My friends say, "Why can't you be like that in real life, day to day?" But I'm like,
because I'm a fantasy.
Because I don't have a passion to organise, your parties.
That is true. That is true.
You know what I mean?
Unless there's a red pocket somewhere.
But for me, it's someone's special day, and they put that trust in me.
That's right.
And For me, it's double checking everything always, constantly, and making sure that the bride and groom is happy with what the goal is.
That's right.
I'm not gonna do anything that you guys don't approve of. You know, brides and grooms. You know, you have to get that approval.
And that's true because I remember you pretty much running up to me maybe about 5 times on the night, right?
Yes.
In the span of from 6 o'clock to roughly about 9:30.
9:30, 10, yes.
Yeah.
Double checking if you're okay with this.
You're okay, if this is the flow.
Yes.
Is there anything that needs to be adjusted or put as priority? Because things might just change on the night. The vibe might even change on the night. So.
And I remember from your wedding specifically when Leon was dancing.
Oh, that was
a highlight.
That
was not part of the plan, but it just happens.
It just happens.
Do you know what I mean? Sometimes the vibe brings the outcome.
That's
and
right.
then you
the
just don't know.
The crowd drives the wedding as well.
Yeah, and Leon, your partner had an amazing time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had, we didn't expect that.
We didn't.
And he was, he thought it was at DEFCON 1. Yeah, but that was fun. I love seeing things that turn out well at the end of the night.
Yeah,
even though it wasn't
planned. Right? It wasn't planned, but
not at all.
Well. Yeah, no, and that's 100% true because you're never gonna get the full 100% of what you want.
That's right.
But having someone you trust along the way, you can only plan so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
But as an MC, it's good to double check always.
That's right. And you've also got a list of vendors personally that you can recommend to newlyweds, right?
Yes,
not newlyweds, but engaged couples.
Engaged couples, yes. Yes, vendors on the night are very important.
Mm-hmm.
I've had difficulties with a few vendors.
Right.
Some DJs, some bands specifically.
Mm-hmm.
They come up. They bump in and they could be demanding.
Right.
The layout where they're situated, they would argue and they want to be somewhere else when everything's already been planned.
Yeah, that's right. But
And the band, that band specifically, is blacklisted pretty much, and they want to, how do I say it, do things their way.
Yeah. Right.
Like I remember that wedding, I had to do the cake cutting. Right, for the bride and groom, I organised the fireworks, everything's all ready to go, and then that band started setting up for the dance floor midway. What? So I thought that was very weird that they did that when I specifically said we're going to cut the cake now.
Yeah.
And then that they were sorting out the speakers, bringing it to stage, and I go, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's what I mean by vendors not working well.
That's right.
As an MC. I've organised all this with the bride and groom.
That's true.
And vendors need to go
know their part.
Yes, exactly.
Play their part.
Exactly. Not being very argumentative with me.
Well, you just want to get on with it on the day because
go for smokes and drinks. That's another thing.
Exactly.
Exactly. I've worked with those vendors as well. Not mentioning names, but I've seen that. Yeah. And
kudos to you for, going for a career path in the wedding industry that not many guys would even put as a priority. Like, I had to host one of my friends' weddings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Phuket, Thailand, because you just know no one there. Right?
Did you speak Thai?
No, but I learned a few lines along the way.
Alright, tell me what you know.
Look, let's not embarrass ourselves on the podcast. Because this is recorded, I may or may not offend some people. But
maybe you have some Thai fans out there that would like to hear you speak some Thai.
Look, please DM me. I'll give you a voice recording. But no.
And how did that go?
It's stressful, right? Being an MC, you are the ring circus.
Everyone goes to you.
That's right. You have to work with each other. Right, like I said, scripting can all be done by the bride and groom, but if things happen on the night, you need to act quick.
Yes.
You need to speak quick, and you always need to be pleasant.
100%. And there is a line where you don't cross, especially during speeches. I've noticed this when the crowd is very loud, and the maid of honor's doing a speech, bridesmaids, and I speak 3 different languages, and I tell the guests to please quieten down, show some love and respect. Yeah. But it's mainly the adults that don't listen. They're
in their own world,
right? And they're constantly drinking and chatting.
Yeah, the aunties and uncles just wanna.
I've actually had
drink.
a maid of honor. Do her speech, and she was so annoyed at the crowd that she told them to STFU. Yeah.
Wow.
Not a good look. She yelled really loudly in the mic.
And that was all recorded.
And then guess what happened after?
What happened?
They didn't. they just continued on drinking.
Oh my god, what a waste. So for
was-
anyone making speeches and the crowd is not what you expect, please carry on. Do not make a scene.
That's right. Just carry on. Speak loudly in the mic. Overpower.
Try and
Yes.
overpower the
Speak
guest.
loudly. Because a lot of the speakers I noticed during speeches, they
There's
don't-
no testing 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
It's here's a mic, off you go.
I always have to push the mic
Closer
closer to the their mouth because they get really nervous and they hold like this.
That's true.
And the only one that could hear them is the bridal people at the bridal table.
Even at the bridal table, like for one of the speakers from my wedding, I couldn't even hear her.
Yeah.
Like I could see her very proud and loud, but it's so loud at a wedding that we forget the microphone is next to the mouth, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Talking about that, equipment are very crucial as well.
Crucial.
So speakers, microphones, lighting. We have vendors that take care of all that.
Yeah.
It's good to make sure that the equipments live up to the hype.
That is also true.
Because you can't have
you can't have
$2. You can't have a fake microphone. Well, do you know what I mean? And lighting, lasers, for the dance floor.
That's right.
What's in at the moment is lasers and haze
my
machine.
god, Jesse brought the laser light.
Yes,
even though I didn't even ask for them.
Yeah.
He brought it as a gift to me on the day, and I was just like, damn, that's another $600 to the bill. And he's like, no, it's a gift from Fame Event.
Yeah.
And I was like, in tears of happiness.
That's what I mean.
It turned out so well.
Sometimes vendors do things
They don't even ask
out of the
sometimes.
good of their heart.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
You never asked for it, but then they just brought it.
And like magic happened on the night.
And then your crowd was lit.
It was crazy.
It was DEFCON 1 in Bankstown.
Oh my god, crazy.
Yeah.
And it was at the Highlines.
That's right.
And they are an amazing team.
Amazing
team. And I literally a shout out to Highlines team because I had I think a room manager that literally went through the dumps or the rubbish bags to find something that was super important to me. For example,
what was it?
It was like I would say like a little note with my birthday and time and a blessing on it with me and Leon's, which was a candle thing that I lit outside that someone threw away.
So they went through the trash.
They went through the trash to find something that was super spiritual, very important to me.
Yeah.
And these are the stories that you remember.
Yeah, that's right. It means so much to the couple. And for vendors to deliver what they're hired to do and go above and beyond, it just makes your wedding more memorable.
More memorable.
That's
for
right.
Things that have gone wrong, but things that are a blessing on the day as well. And it's crazy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And working with fave events, because I'm part of their premium package.
Beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
So you get the MC, the DJ, the lighting, everything. But when we work together, we work best because after formalities are done, we like to keep the guests on the dance floor.
That's right. You actually party with the guests to make sure everyone's up.
Right?
Yeah.
Our liver is
on the line.
Is on the line.
Our body is on the line here.
Our liver is on the line, our health.
Yeah.
But then it's for us, we enjoy it.
It's part of your personality.
Yeah.
You wanna make the party.
Yeah. And it's more fun. You know what I mean? And keeping the guests on their feet, engaging with the guests.
Yeah.
That's why I try to stay to the end of the night.
Yeah.
Unless the crowd has left.
Oh, unless something has happened.
Yes.
Yeah. And all duty calls with you've got your MC happening, you've got your bubble tea.
Yes. Like,
now you've
and
got
your
your
wedding.
things happen. Duty calls, right?
That's
and
right.
of course, you've done your bit, you've said your dues. Thank you very much, and that's it, right?
Yeah. And because I'm in charge of the wedding catering as well, so I pretty much load, unload, unload.
That's right.
Drive my staff home and all that.
So much things that happen, right? Where you bump him, right? Bump him in setting up, making sure the balloons on the cart look nice, or the flowers on your cart, and the lighting looks nice.
That's right.
You have the picture of the bride and groom on your cart, which is totally cute, by the way. That is amazing. That you bring a lot to the table when it comes to newly people planning their weddings. Right, newly engaged couples. I couldn't thank Ken on the night for being so much in charge. as much as OCD as I am, and I like to be in charge, but you know, it alleviates a lot of stress because I've had, for example, I've had 3 makeup artists I went through before I found the one I settled on the night, and it came back down to vibe, accountability, communication, how clear things were. Yeah. Look, I had one that I did a demo for my proposal shoot or my pre-wed shoot, right? Yeah. For example, I just couldn't vibe with her. She was recommended by a friend, but I just couldn't do it. As in, the more I got to know her, it'll be a response, a question today, and then 3 days later she'll reply. Oh wow! I was just like, damn, decisions need to be made, girl. Are you serious? Yeah. Like, not saying that you know you can't be super busy, but like communication during crucial times. The bride itself is organizing a lot. Right, whether it's you know, makeup for the bridesmaids or coordination of where the bridesmaids are. They could be from Canberra, Queensland, Melbourne, right? Coordinating times and asking what everyone feels, and relying on a professional to provide advice and critique is super important. It's not, oh, I'll do what the bride tells me to do. Yes, that's a standard. Yeah. But that's not going above and beyond showing your professional skills. Yes, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Like I said, sometimes the bride and groom wants things done their way. But then as a professional, I would advise the reason why, you know, we should do it another way. A logical explanation why you should think about it, right? Right. Yeah. And we go with the flow. Yeah. But you know, having vendors that work well on the night is very important. That's why it's very important to give your MC the vendors list and contact, so we know who we're working with and how we're going to work with them. That's right. Because I've worked with a lot of vendors, and some are difficult, some are easygoing, and someone just needs to kick up the ass. Yeah. You know, but as a professional MC, I have to work well with all of them, no matter what, even if they're being difficult. Everyone on the list, everyone on your vendor list. Everyone. The point is to eliminate any issues on the night and make it seamless for the bride and groom to even notice that there was an issue. That's right. But then you constantly have to communicate with the bride and groom. That's right. And mainly, the adults, at an Asian wedding specifically, the adults are very difficult. That is true. Because the adults in today's society just think like weddings is to go eat, party, and that's it. But they don't realize all the behind the scenes things that the bride wants, you know, entrances to be perfect, speeches to be heard. Dances now. Dances. Party, You know, all that as well. It's crazy. It's literally a show on the night that lasts for, let's say, a good 10 hours. Yeah. So Hen, I guess, you know, you're doing all this OCD work that a bride and groom would never even think of sometimes. Yeah. Would you even consider being a wedding planner? I thought about it. Yeah. To be honest with you, just hosting the wedding, the reception itself is already very chaotic. Full-time job. Very difficult. Yeah. And then to plan the whole wedding is a different story. I've worked with wedding planners before, and just to see what they do. Yeah. Constantly catching up to vendors and organizing and scheduling. You know. Yeah. I see what because I've worked with a few wedding planners. Yeah. And to do what they do, it's very, very hard. It is, because you're trying to translate what the bride and groom want, which may not even be the same language. That's right. That's right. Yeah. And kudos to all the wedding planners out there, but like it is full on. But hey, maybe that's an avenue you may or may not want to explore when you have a bit of free time. Maybe when I for a special friend. Yeah. But that is crazy. Is there any advice to our audience today if they have a wedding coming up? Yes, definitely try to book all your vendors earlier. Speak to your vendors, get their vibe, see if that's what you want. You know, like I said, have a meeting. I've had couples want to speak with me first before they book me. Yeah. And 99% of the time they say yes. Your conversion rate is great. Wow. Right. Yeah. Because like I said again, I'm the only MC that, you know, that opens a dance floor like in a costume and laser lights. Yeah. You know? And that's so unique, by the way. Like, kudos to you
Thank you,
for
thank you.
having the courage and confidence to get
Yeah.
up and dance and show with your wild side in a way.
That's right.
Yeah.
We want to get the party going
That's
because
right.
after all that stress, the bride and groom just wants to have fun.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So to all the couples out there that are looking to do your wedding, make sure that you book your vendors early,
Yep.
get to know them,
Yep.
and your guests. Make sure you know your guests before you do the DJ run sheet. What kind of vibe you're after.
Yep.
Just speak to your MC and your DJ, because the DJ and MC we work very close together on the night. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy. That's definitely great advice. If I was to do it all again, I would probably speak to you first as one of my priority vendors.
Yeah.
Because I think I spoke to you probably maybe in the middle of all my planning.
Yeah.
But I knew I had you in mind from 3 years ago. I think I went to 2 of your weddings prior.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I'm just like, who is this bird?
See, a lot
Who
of
is this
times,
cow dancing?
a lot of times it's word of mouth, or like
Yeah.
you've seen me host at a wedding.
Yeah.
You know, I do the games. You know, I
That's
crack those. You know,
Those Westie jokes.
yes, Gen Z jokes,
millennial jokes,
millennial jokes that people
yeah.
get. You know, and don't cross that boundary
That's right.
of like being rude to the guests and you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. Well, thank you for coming on She Connects today.
Thank you,
That's
Anita,
for
for
sure.
having me.
I hope you had a lot of fun talking about your experience, your interpersonal stories, and why you love to be a wedding MC, and sharing the story with us.
Thank you so much. Synergy
Money.
Synergy
so
Money.
If you ever need a wedding loan or something to sponsor your deposits coming through, have a chat with us.
Hit up Anita.
Hit it
Thank
up.
you. She connects.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank
and
you.
I hope we build more trust, empower more people, and collaborate even more.
Oh yeah. Also, just before we sign off, also we will be at Sway as well. Hopefully,
Oh yeah.
we're looking into that.
And Sway
Expo, I think, in October.
Is it Southwestern?
Southwestern Small Business Entrepreneur Hub. Yes.
So we will be hosting a little store. Is that right?
Yes,
Is
we're
it a
in the
store?
midst of organising that. Hopefully, it's confirmed.
Wait, Sway. What is that again?
It's an organisation that focuses on small businesses in the community.
In the Southwest community.
Yeah.
And
We
there's
have
a small business showcase.
Yes,
at
that's right.
Cabramatta Diggers.
Yes.
We will be having 2 stores together with
Yep.
Aluva as well.
Yep, Aluva.
Aluva.
That's in the process.
Mhm.
Not confirmed yet, but we're looking to have our own store there.
Yep.
And then you can meet, a lot
Meet
of
us in
vendors there.
person.
Small businesses, meet us in person.
Yep.
And maybe book us on the night.
book us on the night, or even
Yeah.
come ask for advice. Like,
That's right.
we can find Hen on Instagram,
Yep.
Facebook,
Facebook, EMC Hennessy, hit me up.
EMC Hennessy, right?
Yes.
That's right. And I'll also, I'll put it in the description as well where we can find you. But no, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hen.
Thank you. Have a good night. Good day. Edit that out.
Thank you.
Have a
See
good
you
day.
later.
See you later, guys.
Bye.